Hey, good morning, everybody. It's March 8th, just after 9 o'clock in the morning. So yesterday, kind of took the day off. Valentina and I went to Spartanburg, South Carolina, to the home outlet that we had bought a few things from for the house. Quite a few things, actually. Our doors, our windows, and then doorknobs and bathroom sinks and cabinet things that they came with. Anyway, we bought quite a bit of things there. Well, we've changed our color scheme a couple of times, and we had bought a bunch of stainless steel stuff, and now we've changed that to all black. So we exchanged. We got our luckily they took the exchange because the stuff was still in the package, and we actually returned these things. We had bathroom faucets that we had gotten from Home Depot. We returned those, and since we were here, at the home outlet, we just went ahead and got there. The bummer is this is a very expensive sink, $300 and something, I think, and I can't use it. It won't work. So they won't take it back because it's no longer in the box, and then come to find out they're not actually selling that sink anymore. She said if it would have been in the box and they would have been selling it still, they might have been able to do it, but they don't sell that anymore. So it wouldn't have mattered anyway if it was in the box, I guess. So we'll save this for another house, I guess. All right, I'm going to carry all this stuff in. All right, guys, first things first, before I get going on projects, is I need to do another 20-minute fire. It looks like this didn't even burn up all the way in here the last time. I'm not making big fire or anything. It's just a little something to slowly season or cure the paint on this stove. I got plenty of cardboard. I'm using that too to kind of get things going. I don't have actually a lot of paper. I cut a lot of trees to cut the road in, and so we have a lot of firewood out there, but I'm not quite sure that those pieces are going to be small enough for this wood stove. I had cut those long before I bought the wood stove. All right, well, I got the cardboard going at least. I really like the window. I could have got a lot of different kind of wood stoves, and I could have got better deals, probably a lot of used ones on Facebook Marketplace. See, that's what I don't like. It doesn't get enough oxygen in there. And that's what all of them had no dampers, or they had, see, the smoke situation is not good. I don't like having to open this to get it going. All right, wood's catching on fire. There's something going on here that's just not able to get enough oxygen. I'm not sure what that's about. Once your fire gets going, then that burns nice and hot. See, when I just open that, just barely, no smoke comes in the house, but it gets the oxygen it needs. Hopefully we figure this thing out over time. All right, that'll be good enough to warm that up a little bit. Again, no smoke coming out, so I'm really happy about that. I have this silicone that's for wood stoves that I showed you guys last time I was out here. I'm not going to use it because I actually used it up there underneath this, and it's super gooey, and I don't like it. So it's not possible to put it in these connections and not see it, and it's going to be gross looking. It's going to ruin the whole thing. Everything's together. I'm not going to take it all apart just to put that in there. So this is doing good. I'm going to leave it slightly cracked like that so that it'll burn. That may end up being the norm. I don't know if I'm going to have to do that all the time, but it's barely, as soon as I do that, it cuts off. I'm doing that, and that's it. No smoke coming in the house. I don't know. It is what it is right now. I got lots of other more important things to do now that this is in. Oh, to the world of wood stoves. I have researched and researched and researched, and I cannot find a definitive answer on a question I have. And that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. it doesn't mean that there's a chance I'm doing things wrong. There probably is. I mean, a high chance. I don't know. As you guys saw, I put this together, and I've ran 2 fires in it now. And I was cleaning up in here a little bit, my workspace, and I was like going to take some stuff down to the shed, and I was grab some silicone that I was going to use on the stovepipe, but lots of folks on the internet saying you don't need it, especially on single wall stoves, because they're supposed to they fit, the single wall pipes supposedly fit together better or whatever. I don't know, and you don't need it. So I have this stuff. Rutland 500 degrees, high heat, silicone. Says for fireplace inserts, glass fireplace screens, gas furnaces, gas heating, stoves, and more. Yeah, so it's supposed to be good for high heat. I don't know. I've used this. I use stuff up on top of the roof on the triple wall that's up there that goes together, and everything that went seamed together. I put gasket stuff on all of that, so I don't want water coming in. But this, I thought it was kind of unnecessary, and I burned 2 fires, and I've not smelled any smoke. However, there were some folks saying, yeah, you should eat, like when you read the manual, it says you're supposed to. But it really seems like I would say it leans toward it's not necessary on the answers of people saying, especially single walls, you don't have to. So you just don't. However, I decided to go ahead and do it, and I'll tell you why. One person mentioned that their draft wasn't working well, and they were having problems with the wood stove burning. That's the one problem I've had. As you guys saw, I've started 2 fires, and as soon as I close the door completely, the damper completely open, the fire's not going. So I am thinking maybe there was a little bit of air getting sucked into the pipe, and it wasn't making a good draft so that it would pull in the air through the damper and be able to burn. And there was a lot of smoke billowing in there. If I cracked open the door, it didn't come out in the room, but it was a lot of smoke. So what I did was I just went around at every seam, and I put a thin bead around and cleaned it up as soon as possible. I know that I didn't get it perfectly clean. I've used this stuff up there, and you can see remnants of it still on the firebox there. It's ugly. It's messy. I sealed in here, and there were some small gaps here and there. Like this is the only one that I screwed. It only came with 3 screws. The whole thing only came with 3 screws. I don't know if you're supposed to go buy more, but that's the only pipe that actually had holes to put screws. The only one that had holes. So I had to drill into this one, but this one had it because that's the telescoping one. But there's no holes in that pipe to put through. There was no holes down here. There's holes here, but I've watched videos that said these don't come with holes, and it's just not necessary because they're tapered and they fit down in there. So, I don't know. I have a feeling that the inspectors aren't going to say much because they're going to make sure the clearance is fine from combustibles and things like that, which it's all good. I mean, the fact that I have it sitting out in the room and there's nothing either side, basically, with a concrete backing and a concrete floor, I think I'm good. But I don't know. There's just too much discrepancy from directions to looking on, a lot of people have this question and they're saying the same thing. They're like, I'm not finding a definitive answer. So I'm not doing it because of necessarily of safety or like they say carbon dioxide or monoxide or something. I don't know. Stuff can get in the air. I'm not doing it because of that. I'm doing it because maybe it'll help affect the draft on the wood stove, and I won't have this problem where I got to keep opening the door to get it to burn. So let's see what happens. I need to read on this. How long does it take for that silicone to set up? The stove was just slightly warm from the little fire that I built this morning, so I think that part was fine, but hopefully it'll be set up by tomorrow and I can run tomorrow and then see if it made a difference. Guys, I took the leap on this and I measured and remeasured, and I used the level. This was off a little bit, so I shimmed the bottoms, try to bring everything up to where it needs to be. Looks like I might actually need to shim right there in the middle too. Adjusted the legs on the dishwasher to bring it up even, and then measured this so that it would come out exactly even, and we'll just paint this thing. It's only basically needs this part painted. We'll probably paint this too, but this is the only thing because the refrigerator is going to go up against here. All right, on to the next thing. I think I'm going to go ahead and try to push a small shim there in the middle because I had to put shims at both ends, and I don't want it doing this dipping action, and it does look like ever so slightly, just a hair needs to go up right there. Okay guys, I'm working on the sink. So I just thought I better record some of this. I forgot about doing that. You get so caught up in trying to figure out what you're doing that when you're trying to have a YouTube channel, you forget. So what I did was, there is a stencil that you're supposed to use, but this is an old sink that's brand new. Does that make sense? Something that was never used, but Bren bought it off of Facebook Marketplace, and now he doesn't need it, so we're going to use it because we couldn't use that farm sink. What I did first is I took the sink and I centered it, put it exactly center, and measured every different which way to make sure it was centered. And then I took the stencil and laid it on there, and it was somewhat similar. So I'm not being too specific on it right now, as long as it's smaller than what I need. And then I can kind of trim it out for it to look exactly even. So I guess this is not one of those kind of sinks that rests on top. It actually is designed to go underneath. So I need to make the stencil, the cut will eventually need to be like really look as good as I can. We'll sand it and all that stuff to smooth it out. And then the sink will attach to the bottom. So this will be underneath, and then the butcher block will be on top of that. So what I did was, and you know, I buy all DeWalt tools basically. You guys watch my channel, you know that. I bought, because I didn't think I was gonna need it extensively, a hole saw, the blades. And the blades are expensive when you buy them separately, and they just didn't have a nice setup in Home Depot of like a bunch of hole blades that would go to my thing. So I bought some cheap brand that I've never heard of for 30 something bucks, and thought, well, I'm not going to be using it that much anyway, so I went ahead and bought it. Well, I can't keep the thing working. It's a piece of junk. So I'm not going to do that again. Might as well spend the money. I could have got one blade for what I got that for, but if it would have been a blade that works, then it's worth it. Anyway, so what I did was to start where I can use my saw here, I punched a hole here. That took me a while. And now my lines are right here, so I gotta follow these lines all the way around. Hopefully it ends up turning out looking okay. It's amazing how dirty the jigsaw makes things. I mean, not the jigsaw, butcher block. It's amazing how much sawdust it creates. I keep having to vacuum every so often. I put a track here to kind of follow, but it didn't work very well. I still got it fairly straight. And I'm cutting in a little bit in further than I need to. That way I have some play. Anyway, this has taken a while, but it's getting there. That was exciting, but a little bit alarming. I thought it would hold itself because I still have these corners over here. Thought it was connected, but I got to the edge and it fell off. Pretty heavy. All right, so I just need to cut these corners here, and at least we'll have somewhat of a square going on. It's really hard to be super accurate with a jigsaw. You can go nice and slow so you can keep correcting your mistakes. But I missed the line just tiny bit right here. And it was the only one that I actually clamped down. I had my level actually was clamped down here so I could push against it, but it wasn't working right. Anyway, so I need to go along here, and right here is the two kind of bulgy areas. The rest of it, I think with a little sanding, will even it out and should look fairly decent. So right now I'm going to go ahead and hit this with a jigsaw and right here and try to straighten them up a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to try to clean that part up, and then you got to be careful when you're cleaning things up with jigsaws because it can get out of hand and then you end up ruining it. I've done it many times. It gets out of hand. I'm like, oh, I just need to get a little bit right there, and then it messes it up, and then I got to go back and go back and back. So I just want to get it just a tiny bit better, and then I'll smooth it with a like a belt sander or something. All right, guys, I took the belt sander along here, but it's kind of hard to do if you're wanting to kind of go this way. That it's so big that it can get this side and that side a little bit, but it was really hard to really hold it flat and do this. So what I did was I did some 150 grit on there with the orbital sander, and now I'm doing 40 grit to really, the 150 was not doing it. So it's going to take me a lot of sanding if I want it to look really good. I have a little dip right here I need to take care of. I need to pull this stuff back right here to come even with it. And sometimes you end up tilting your jigsaw a little bit one way or the other instead of staying flat, so some of it's a little bit like that. So I'm just probably going to spend a lot of time here and just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, try to flatten it and smooth it all out. And that's why I cut it in a little bit, so I'd have a little play for my mistakes. All right, guys, I'm really shocked how off I am. I'm actually quite disappointed in myself. I felt like I measured everything and I followed the line really well, and I didn't think I'd be off that much. I felt like I went pretty straight on everything. Anyway, what I'm doing is I turn the countertop upside down now and got underneath and then eyeballing from the top and all that. Got this as centered as I possibly can, but there's some spots that are this much hanging over and some that are very thin hanging over. You probably won't be able to tell it. I don't think you'll be able to tell it too much, maybe a little bit. You'd have to be paying attention. I'll know it. It sucks. It is what it is. That's the scary thing about building your own house and building stuff. It's like, I really felt positive about it. I felt like I was doing a good job. And it's just off. So you can't go back and do it again unless you go buy a whole new butcher block. I'm not doing that. So to lock this in a spot so it doesn't move, I'm just taking my little deck screws that I have been using for the floor and putting them on the sides so it'll hold it. That wasn't good. Move the whole thing, and I just spot this to get it exactly where I wanted it. I don't know, one spot here, I just don't know how I got on both sides of the sink in the same spot, opposite sides. I just got really close to, just barely. I think where it went wrong was if I wouldn't have followed this, I put this down and it was really close. I should have cut it even further in instead of following that. That would have set me up way better, way more to play with. But instead it gave me very little play, and then what am I gonna do? I don't know. So this thing I'm about to do does not make sense to me, and it's going to take, I think it's going to be a struggle. Basically, these are the contraptions that you're holding this. They go down on, but you have to pre-drill holes, I guess, for these little caps to go down into. That's going to be the pain. I don't know if I have a drill bit. This is the size of the inside of it, so I'm going to have to, but it seems like it's pretty close here. So I might have to just ream it, or I'll go and look and see if I can find some more drill bits, something a little bit bigger than this. I'm going to get this all drilled and put together, but then I got to caulk everything and seal it between the wood and the sink. So I'm just going to get this all set up, and then I'll go back and fudge around with that again. It's not been an easy task. And I'm really, really upset. I'm really sad that it's I wish my square would have been smaller, but and that's the thing, you can't add back. So oh well. Alright guys, that's a little bit of a challenge. I had to do 2, 4, 6, 8 holes, and they had to fit these guys in, and they're supposedly 3/8, but I was using a drill bit that wasn't quite big enough, and then Nicole and Bryn came out, and he had a 3/8 bit, and it still wasn't big enough. Well, it was big enough, but it wasn't. These things are bigger than 3/8, so you had to go like really ream it out, and then you could put them in and then tap them with a hammer and they'd get in. So I've set them all up so that they're like barely started, and I don't know, I hope this is going to work. This is a acrylic latex caulk plus silicone, good for 40 years. It says window and door frames, paintable, but it's a waterproof seal, easy to clean up, interior, exterior. It's maybe too fancy for what I'm doing here, I don't know. But it's clear, and so I think it should work. It's silicone is silicone, right? And it's waterproof, so creates a waterproof seal. I have another one just like this, but it's white. So I'm going to go ahead and use this because it's clear. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to bead this all the way around on the top. I think I'm going to maybe... Oh, it comes out white but dries clear, by the way. I'm going to put it toward the outside because you won't see that part if it squishes out. I'll probably go back around and do more toward the center too. I don't know how this is going to work out. We're not traditional in the way we see things. We think we like kind of natural tone. How do I say that? Natural elements like wood. I know there's, I think some of those quartz and things like that is probably natural, but some of that stuff's really expensive. And this was, anything with wood, I can deal with it with a blade, you know? It's like, it's not hard, it's soft and warm, and I don't know. But I don't know how this butcher block's going to hold up over time. We're going to seal it with some kind of oil stuff, I don't know. But I don't know if it's going to leak, it's going to be susceptible to water. This might not last. We may be redoing the kitchen someday, but... Well, this thing's not squeezing out very nicely. There we go. Sometimes it is, but sometimes not. I'm sure it needs this all the way across to a point, so it seals where it meets the wood, but I really don't want to make a mess. I'm already going to have to get up and underneath in the cabinet and clean it, so that should be good. Caulking's not so expensive, you can be generous. I just don't make a mess. Alright, I think that's good. This is not going to be so easy. I guess I'm going to just end up making a mess that I didn't want to make, but it is what it is. I gotta look down inside here, get this all even. Yeah, I think that's good. I think it looks all right. Oh. Well, I hope that holds. Kind of narrowed there on the back side, so which is going to be the front side. Actually, that's going to have to go like that because I have the front part, I think. I may have to drill another one for that front part. It does come with a couple extra, and I'm glad. I think I'm going to have to do that. Yeah, I am. Like I put it a little bit too far away. It says 1/2 inch, which I did, but didn't take into account for the back part or the front part. If that's going to fit there or not. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and screw these down that I have and then put another one back there, I think, to lock it in. All right, I am none too happy right now. These little white knob things that go down inside, I really had to hammer them to get them in as it was, these little white guys, and they're, when you tighten it, they're coming right out of the hole. They're built that when you screw it in, it should be expanding it. I still have to tap it with a hammer to get it in, and it's pulling out. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting some of this silicone in here. Hopefully that'll keep it. A couple of them are staying locked in, looks like. Well, that one's not. That's crazy. I don't. That doesn't make any sense. Pull them right out. So when you're screwing them, like, that's supposed to be holding the weight of a sink with water in it, dishes. So I think now I don't trust this. I'm gonna have this thing fall right out. I can pull these out like that. All right, that one's seems like one of them that works is kind of like one of them that's not gonna work because it's too far away. Wow. I'm struggling today, guys. Thing is stripped, looks like. All right, guys, the struggle's been real. I siliconed these white little tabs that go in there, hoping that would give it some sticky substance, but I don't know how long I got to leave it there for it to actually make a difference. So I did all those, and I put an extra one in the front over here because it was so close. And what I did was I added some reinforcements. I put 2 pieces of wood here with 2 screws each. Then I put one here, put one here, and put one here. So I'm hoping that between all these things and these things, it's going to hold it. And the silicone. I just don't want to take a chance, man. These white things were coming out, so that was bizarre. It shouldn't be doing that. And I can't get them to push down in there unless I tap them with a hammer. And I tap them with a hammer, and I don't know. They're just, I don't know if you guys can see that. Those white things, it should expand, but it doesn't. And then this should like grip. I don't know. It did not do a good job. So now I have a little bit of reinforcement on there. Next thing I need to do is, well, I'm going to let this dry for a little bit, I think. Maybe even take a break or something. Let this dry, at least give it an hour or something to get tacky. Then go ahead and cinch these all down a little bit. Then I'll be ready to flip this guy over, put it back in its spot, and then see where am I putting my faucet. And I bought this junk set for $30-something because of those hole saws blades, because I couldn't find the attachment to the ones I had. I had a few of these white ones like this. Well, Bren just brought me. He forgot he had it. this attachment right here is what I've been looking for. And that actually looks a bit dinged. Anyway, that's the one I've been looking for. Now I can put it into this legit blade and it'll actually work. Those other ones are garbage. I'm gonna call it a day, guys. I'm not feeling too hot. I'm sick. Been sick for a few days. It's almost 4 o'clock. But I got that all locked down and siliconed in and stuff, and I'm just gonna let it sit for the night and dry. And then I'll come back and clamp these down and continue the job. Monday we're supposed to have a washer dryer get delivered, and it's supposed to rain that day. We have a lot to do tomorrow. I want to clean a pathway from the front door all the way back to where the washer and dryer is going to go, so when they deliver on Monday they can get through. I want to start a fire in the morning and see if that got solved. Flip this over, put a faucet on the back, do some work. Valentina is going to be off tomorrow. She's going to clean the bathroom and the tile and all that stuff, then grout it, and then seal it so it'll be ready. So we got a big day tomorrow. We got a lot of stuff we got to cram in. All right, we will see you the next time we're out here.